Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has released a new plan to combat the economic insecurity of Americans as coronavirus continues to, the cases continue to rise and coronavirus continues to worsen across the United States. Just kidding. He's propping up corporations. So let me, by the way, let me just say that he is doing this in the guise of coronavirus relief. So he's like, oh, it is going to be very targeted coronavirus relief. Targeted towards whom? Corporations. So let me break it down. For one, this bill doesn't really authorize any new additional spending. From what I can see, they're basically using some of the money that was left over from the CARES Act. And so this is money that has been appropriated but has not been spent yet. There's some of it, of course, from lending facilities, and it totals around $500 billion.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
So just like in line with the rest of the skinny bill. So of the spending that is actually done, you're not going to be surprised that most of it goes to business in the form of Paycheck Protection Program loans. So now it also expands things the employers can have forgiven under these loans. It gives grants to venues and theaters, which are struggling, to be fair, under the coronavirus because people don't want to go to theaters and things like that. It does give $10 billion to the post office. It's under certain conditions, of course. It's about the same as the recently touted bipartisan bill that was about $908 billion that I talked about before. So it also gives about $31 billion for vaccines. That includes, of course, continued research and development, as well as being able to transport and basically, get those vaccines out to the people, essentially. It adds a $20 billion farm bailout, a $500 million fishery bailout, $5 billion for childcare so that parents, of course, can go back to work. All right. And, and the big part of this is corporate liability. Because, of course. So now under the corporate liability provisions, you cannot sue your employer if you get COVID-19 from, for example, unsafe working conditions. In places like meat packing plants, for example, where managers were actually literally found at a Tyson plant making bets on how many people would get infected at in their specific plant. So now you're wondering, of course, okay, what about stimulus checks? Does this version have stimulus checks? Well, the answer is, of course, no. What about unemployment? Also, not really. So let me get into the details on that. According to this piece of legislation, the proposal, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program would be extended by a month, ending on January 31st, 2021. So that's not additional federal benefits. That's just extended benefits. Now, it also addresses the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program for people who have exhausted their 13-week benefits. It is also extended by a month to January 31st, 2021. There are no additional federal benefits that have been listed. But wait, there's good news. There's some good stuff here. This bill would double the tax credit for charitable giving to $600 per individual. That's doubling. And $1,200 for a couple, and would allow a 100% write-off for business meals at restaurants. Yeah. There it is. I mean, that's basically it. That's what's in it. That's your coronavirus stimulus bill from Mitch McConnell. Let me tell you what. He does not give a fuck about you. If you are a regular person, if you are struggling right now and you need a stimulus pay, if you are behind on your bills because you lost your job as a result of coronavirus and you spent that stimulus check or you did, in a lot of cases, you didn't even get a stimulus check. Well, I mean, you're out of luck. Sorry. Sad. It's just a slap in the face. There, again, no stimulus, not actual stimulus. You can't even call it that. It's just corporate giveaways and a way to try to get people back to work. So again, they're pushing people. They're of course part of this bill also deals with education, a little bit of education funding to try to get people to set up ways where you can quote unquote go safely back to school. But right now, with the cases surging so much, there really isn't much of a safe way to go back to school at this point. And so, and of course, the liability protections also apply to school, as well as workplaces, corporations, small and large, meatpacking plants, some government offices as well. And so this liability protection, that's it. Liability protection for corporations, all that stuff, and we shove you back to work. But hey, at least we give you a little bit of childcare, and rich people can write off their business meals. Yay! Awesome. Some Dickensian shit right here. That's what this is. It's almost like it's a punishment for not voting for Donald Trump. Like, this is Mitch McConnell. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you the shittiest stimulus bill that I can, and I'm gonna call it stimulus. And what it's really going to do is that it's not going to do anything to help people who are poor or struggling. And so it's going to sabotage the economy so that when, coronavirus is over, there will be absolutely no recovery. In fact, we will slide deeper into recession or perhaps even depression. And so that whatever Republican decides to run in 2024, be it Tom Cotton or Ted Cruz or whatever, Don Jr., I've seen polls on that. Well, they're going to look at that. Republicans are going to look at, the state of the economy that they essentially caused by not actually supporting people to get out of this economic recession. Look at Joe Biden's economy. How terrible. Look, Democrats can't run anything. Vote for us. Put us in power. And then, of course, if that happens to work, well, what they're going to do is basically what they did during the Trump administration. Give giant tax cuts to the rich, deregulate industry, and then, when the Democrats inevitably go into power after the second gigantic market crash, which is going to happen in depression, Democrats will be forced to do austerity. It's a lose-lose situation if you're a regular person. If you were a normal human being and you rely on this money to survive and to pay your bills, sad day for you. You're not going to get anything. You get nothing. And so make no mistake, this is actually the best we're going to get out of somebody like Mitch McConnell, by the way. He's even making, remember, yesterday I talked about the bipartisan trash bill, right? And I called it the bipartisan trash bill because it was garbage. Well, looking at that, that's actually better than this. That $908 billion bipartisan bill, looks great compared to this because it actually does give an additional $300 in unemployment benefits, plus it funds the states. This does not even fund the states at all. And so it makes that look good. And that is really, really shitty. And it just shows you that the government and really Republicans, people who are in power, they don't give a goddamn about you. Unless, of course, you're the one who signs their donor checks and you're a big multinational corporation. And that's essentially who Mitch McConnell actually cares about. Slap in the face. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.